Hey guys, good day. How are you? Great, I hope. So I want to talk about something very important. I feel is very important because people who are very much into old magic, grimoires, Goetic magic, things that have Hebrew alphabet in it, and if you're really much involved in that type of stuff and you're very much connected to your ancestry, whether you've got that Hebrew Jewish ethnicity or not, I'm sure you stumbled upon somewhere along the line where someone isn't or is Jewish in your family. Okay, so I want to get into something very important because the Jewish identity has been broken up and recreated in the sense of it is not what it was before. They've lived in various different cultures, different nationalities, different countries universally, that they've lost tune with their actual identity. Although they've kept somewhat of their bloodline intact, because there are some Jewish people that they look so identical to each other, but I do want to say that the real authentic Jews, when I say authentic, I mean going back to the beginning of time, are the Yazidi people. Okay, so Yazidi, and then if you look at the Arabic term for Jew, is Yahudi, Yazidi, Yahudi, Azrael, Azazel. It's all connected. My great-grandfather was actually a Yazidi. He was very fond of the Armenian people. He actually was a Fedai. He saved hundreds and thousands of Armenians, as well as Yezidis, from becoming Muslim and so on and so forth. But so in various places in Canada and other places where I've been, they follow me. Jewish people, they follow me. They're always around me. I've worked with them basically almost 15 to 20 years of my life. And it wasn't, in fact, until I was working with like wealthy business Jewish people where I was told and shown through their textbooks in Hebrew, in Old Hebrew, that they consider one of the most oldest and most intelligent people on the face of the earth to be the Armenians. Now, we can have a debate and an argument about that, but I and other people believe that those were the old Armenians, not today's Armenians. So people know the Jews to be the most intelligent people on the face of the earth today, this era. Now, going back to the Yazidi people, the original Yezidis spoke Hebrew. They did not speak Kurdish. Kurdish is a very new ethnicity. In actuality, the Kurdish ethnicity and the Kurdish language per se is as old as the Ottoman Empire. We'd say about 700 to 900 years old, okay? So for many people, their awareness is, yes, the Kurds were Yazidis before. If you ask me, in my own research and what's preserved in my bloodline, there really was no actual country called Kurdistan until today, until the last, the first genocide of, the late 1800s, early 1900s, which were the First World War. During that time, just before that, as well as there was no such thing as Israel. Honey bunnies, listen to me. If you go to California, there's a place called Little Armenia. That's not the name of the country. That's not the name of the city, but it is the name of a region where people are mainly of this ethnic background. Okay, so that's whether you get upset or offended by this, there's multiple amounts of proof, destroyed, hidden, preserved, of all this information. And also it's in my heritage, guys. Like I said, my mother's side, her grandfather was a Yazidi, okay? He was married, he was married about 6 times. His 6th wife was an Armenian, because all of them were getting kidnapped, so on and so forth, just like the Armenians were being kidnapped. So because, the Jews, the Yazidis, were always going through genocides in the hands of Arabs, like the Armenians, they always would follow where Armenians are. Every region, every place of the world where there was an Armenian, there was a Yazidi, aka Jews. In Sassoon, where my mom's from, Western Armenia, there were Jews. Just like there were Jews and, in Van, Kars, Erzurum, as well as Yazidis and Kurds. Just like there are in my neighborhood, Yazidis and Kurds. Okay, we all look the same. We can all be the same. All we have to do is change our name, and that's it. They usually do come out when there's a war, because there's that sense of brotherhood and that pride that Armenians have with the Yazidis. But other than that, they don't come out and say they're Yazidi. They just don't do it. So again, this is in my own bloodline. I'm talking from what I know. I'm talking about what's kept a secret. It's very much kept a secret. The original language and the original magic of the Yezidis are not what you know and what you study and what you read. And the Kurds, it is very much Old Hebrew. Their Hebrew now has changed from the Old Hebrew, and the Old Hebrew, in modern times, in order to be a Jew, your mother's bloodline needs to be a Jew. Now, I'd say about 80% of the Jews that I've met in Canada, without me asking, they've come out and told me when they did a bloodline check in their family tree, they found that someone, the mother's side came from Ukraine or Russia, and they found out that during World War II, they weren't actually Jews. They were ethnic Russians and ethnic Ukrainians that were, because they were bastard children, and I'm sorry if you get offended by that, because the definition of bastard means almost basically an orphan. They were converted to Jews. Okay, and whatever your mother is, that's what you are when it comes to Judaism. However, in Yazidi, which is the older original aspect of Hebrew, Jews, it must be on the same. Mother and father must be Jewish. If there is a mix, if there is any bloodline that has been disrupted, you are not considered a Jew anymore. You are not considered a Yazidi anymore. Okay? If you go to Israel, they will say, part of the tribes of Israel, the 12 lost tribes of 13 lost tribes, the Kurdistan would be considered in it, because they know that they were the old. And I'm only talking about the people, and they keep this a secret. So in order for the Yezidis to preserve, there's Sheikh Adi. He was basically a Lebanese, okay? He changed the original Hebrew Yazidi Jewish culture. So basically it switched, okay? Because they wanted to change some stuff up. So there's a lot of Yazidis and Jews, they don't know they just don't know. They don't know the truth, okay? So they separated, in Yazidi culture and religion, there's the Trinity, there's the pyramid, there's 3 aspects. Cousins are only allowed to marry cousins. They're not allowed to mix. You can get killed. But it shouldn't matter what I have to say on how deep I go with this, and why I'm bringing this up is because before all this, so of course what we know about the Jews today, and the despite the mother's side being whatever the mother's side is, it's still very much patriarchy. Same with the Yezidis. We'd say 3,000 to 6,000 year old, right? So is the Armenian culture. I'd like to say that the Armenians are very much close to these people. We are. The way they look at it, especially the Kurds, is they are the same people of the Armenians. It's just the religions have changed, which is in fact, because Armenia was a huge empire at one point. It was very much, all the 4 corners of the world knew that. It's written in history books. Not even in our own worldwide well-known scholars would, always talk about Armenia. So if you know anything about Haik Nahabed, fought his cousin / brother Bel, who was a tyrant and was asking for too many taxes. Again, this is what happened during just before the Armenian genocide, when the Kurds did manslaughter and women were crucified when they were invoking the presence of the goddess Ishtar. They crucified virgin women naked. You could look it up, guys. 1896, 1894, 1896, 300,000 Armenians were massacred before the First World War. Brother killing brother. Originally, they didn't want to do it, but they did. They took our homes. They took everything. They were living in. They would sit on the floor and eat. They would have, live in tents. These were that type. What was the intention? Originally, all that. Anyways, going back to Haik, okay? The archer, the giant that fought Bel. He escaped the Mesopotamian regions known as Iraq/Kurdistan, where the Yezidis live now, right? And he went to, so this is our forefather. He went to Van, the region of Van, which is now Turkey. That was where Armenia was first established. That region. Now at that time, there were different tribes living in the region. It was a tribal people, Naidians, the Armens, different tribal people, multiple other names. But there was Haik, who is also Haldi/Khaldi. You can look him up. He was a god, a sun god, in the Sumerian, Urartian background. The Yazidi. If you know anything about the Yazidi culture, they believe that was their ancestor. And the Kurds, the story of the Kurds are very much connected to the Armenian, because it's legit. We're all the same. We're all the same. Basically, we're all the same fucking ethnicity. We're all the same bloodline. It's just different tribe chose a different thing. And then they all came together, and then they separated, and then they fought, and then this and that. So, I think when Armenians adopted Christianity, because we lost our country for a good 100 years, and then all of a sudden we're Christian. So you're fucking telling me what happened to all those, cultural, because I don't want to say pagan, because that was our way of life. Armenians were fire worshippers. They were sun worshippers. That was our way. That's the same fucking religion as the Yezidis, They did magic. That was magic, and that was the way of life. That was our culture. It still is pretty much our culture, but they just hide it behind Jesus. Okay? Just like every other European that has preserved itself. And understand that that's how Yezidis, during World War II, the so-called Jews of Germany were persecuted, right? Well, guess what? After the last genocide in 2014, in August, where the Yezidis were persecuted in Shingal, in Iraq Kurdistan region, where are they now? The main, they went to Germany, the main. So it's a repeat. And this is all about brother fighting brother, to recreate, to see who's going to be more powerful, who's going to take the power, like the kingdom days, power, in the kingdoms, brothers would kill each other to get the throne. It is what it is. But we know about Yezidis to keep intact religion, like intact bloodline, is only recent, meaning the last 1,000 years. We don't know what they were like. Well, we were all fucking related. Back then, everybody would marry in their family. Anyways, my father's family, they all married cousins. My dad was the one who broke that by marrying my mom. Okay, and my dad's Hamshan Armenian. My dad is from the Black Sea region. He didn't know he was Armenian until he was 11 years old, and his father came back from the Turkish army to say, if I ever die, I want you to know that we're Armenian. My father had no idea he was Armenian. It wasn't until, then he moved to Istanbul. He went part of the Armenian community, and he found himself. So, anyways, in case Armenians and Yezidis and, we don't last forever, because everybody believes Jews are the chosen people. They say history is falsified, but yet all history goes back to the same history, the same root. Manslaughter, killing each other, brother to brother. We're all fucking related. I'm not telling you to lose your heritage and become another heritage. I'm not telling you to hate your culture. I'm not telling you. This is only for people who feel a deep sensation, a spark, something in their heart, for those who know me, I was full out attacked by Jews, Assyrians, and Azeris. Physical attack. I couldn't function properly for heavy Hebrew magic was done to me. Well, that shit can destroy your DNA, but it made me a master in my field. So lots of truths were revealed to me because I was looked upon, searched. These are facts, searched because they found certain bloodline in my family that dates back to my bloodline, and their bloodline was basically connected to the same bloodlines back in before the genocide when we were all attacked. So they tried that shit on me. So I'm taking back my power. I'm taking back my ancestors' power. I never felt connected to Canada or the people or the country there. I'm not saying I have something against multiculturalism. That makes no sense for me to say that, because I do want people to come to Armenia and, you know, even just travel here and feel it out and whatnot. Because there's different types of Armenians, I'll tell you that, even though we kind of all look alike. There's different types of Armenians, and everybody will argue what the real Armenian is, but they don't even know themselves. So, Armenians were not originally Christian. Stop that shit. Thank you. Second, the Kabbalah, the Hebrew, was actually, in fact, originally by the mother goddess. And 10,000 years ago, Armenians, Yezidis, Kurds, they came from India. Same with Iranians. They all came from India. The occult, including the Hebrew, the six-pointed star, the sigil magic, the Kabbalah, it's very much connected to the Hindu. They just turned it into an occultism. And it's been said, like in Sanskrit, that the creators of the religion or the way of life, the science of all that, were not actually Indian, but they were from the regions of like Armenia, Persia, you know, those inhabitants. So it's very interesting, very, very interesting. There's truths to it. One more thing, lovely people. Here's the thing. 6,000 years ago, before the patriarchy took over, actually we'll say about 6,000 years, because I think the patriarchy is what, about 7,000 years. We'd say maybe minimum 10, not even, I don't think so. But let's say 13,000 years ago, when the mother goddess was prevalent all over the world, honey. The goddess Hecate, like I said, it was her book, the Kabbalah, the tree of life, the tree of wisdom, the tree of knowledge, you know, Lilith. This was all Hecate. It's all the same goddess. Eresh Gegal, Anahid, Anahida. It's all the same. It's all the same, broken down, switched up, changed around. This is our fucking bloodline, people. This is what it is. And they fight over and they kill each other on which brother is going to succeed this time around. And it's the same in Hindu also, in Sanskrit, Hinduism. You know, there's all the gods, they're fighting with Vasuki. In Armenian, we have Vishapakar, the snake, Vishaps, Vasuki. Vasuki is the serpent. Vishap is the serpent in Armenian. Mind you, Armenian has a lot of Sanskrit and Indian words, but it is Indo-European language, but which the Armenian alphabets created by Mr. Mashtot is very witchcrafty. I remember back in 2012, I published on my page when I had Redearthgoddess page, where I had like 500,000, more than 1 million followers at the time. I would share posts how the alphabet of witchcraft looks almost identical to the Armenian, and I have intents on to creating a book eventually, where I will be taking grimoire and a lot of the contention to take the secret doctrines from Hebrew and change it into Armenian. So I have to work on the dialect, because here's the thing, Armenian and Eastern is a little bit different with writing skills as well. So in Western Armenian, my name is Talar. In Eastern Armenian, they would say Dalar. So my point is, guys, again, brother killing brother. Oh, Vasuki. Look up Vasuki and the story on how the gods are fighting over who's gonna take. It's the same shit over and over and over and over and over again until all these fucking ethnic backgrounds die. But we will not die